Now Keawa had a mate on board whose name was Lopaka. "What ails you," said Lopaka, "that you stare in your chest?" They were alone in the ship's forecastle, and Keawa bound him to secrecy and told all. "This is a very strange affair," said Lopaka, "and I fear you will be in trouble about this bottle, but there is one point very clear, that you are sure of the trouble, and you had better have the profit in the bargain. Make up your mind what you want with it, give the order, and if it is done as you desire, I will buy the bottle myself, for I have an idea of my own to get a schooner and go trading through the islands." "That is not my idea," said Keawa, "but to have a beautiful house and garden on the Kona coast where I was born, and sun shining in at the doors, flowers in the garden, glass in the windows, pictures on the walls, and toys and fine carpets on the tables, for all the world like the house I was in this day, only a story higher, and with balconies all about like the king's palace, and to live there without care and make merry with my friends and relatives." "Well," said Lopaka, "let us carry it back with us to Hawaii, and if all comes true as you suppose, I will buy the bottle, as I said, and ask a schooner." Upon that they were agreed, and it was not long before the ship returned to Honolulu, carrying Keawa and Lopaka and the bottle. They were scarce come ashore when they met a friend upon the beach, who began at once to condole with Keawa. "I do not know what I am to be condoled about," said Keawa. "Is it possible you have not heard?" said the friend. "Your uncle, that good old man, is dead, and your cousin, that beautiful boy, was drowned at sea?" Keawa was filled with sorrow, and beginning to weep and to lament, he forgot all about the bottle. But Lopaka was thinking to himself, and presently, when Keawa's grief was a little abated, "I've been thinking," said Lopaka, "had not your uncle lands in Hawaii, in the district of Kau?" "No," said Keawa, "not in Kau. They are on the mountainside, a little way south of Hukina." "Those lands will be yours now?" asked Lopaka. "And so they will," said Keawa, and began again to lament for his relatives. "No," said Lopaka, "do not lament at present. I have a thought in my mind. How if this should be the doing of the bottle? For here is the place ready for your house." "If this be so," cried Keawa, "it is a very ill way to serve me by killing my relatives, but it may be indeed, for it was in just such a situation that I saw the house with my mind's eye." "The house, however, is not yet built," said Lopaka. "No, nor like to be," said Keawa, "for though my uncle has some coffee and ava and bananas, it will not be more than will keep me in comfort, and the rest of that land is the black lava." "Let us go to the lawyer," said Lopaka. "I have still this idea in my mind." Now when they came to the lawyer's, it appeared Keawa's uncle had grown monstrous rich in the last days, and there was a fund of money. "And here is the money for the house," cried Lopaka. "If you are thinking of a new house," said the lawyer, "here is the card of a new architect, of whom they tell me great things." "Better and better," cried Lopaka. "Here is all made plain for us. Let us continue to obey orders." So they went to the architect, and he had drawings of houses on his table. "You want something out of the way," said the architect. "How do you like this?" And he handed a drawing to Keawa. Now when Keawa set eyes on that drawing, he cried out aloud, for it was the picture of his thought exactly drawn. "I am in for this house," thought he. "Little as I like the way it comes to me, I am in for it now, and I may as well take the good along with the evil." So he told the architect all that he wished, and how he would have the house furnished, and about the pictures on the wall, and the knickknacks on the tables, and he asked the man plainly for how much he would undertake the whole affair. The architect put many questions, and took his pen and made a computation, and when he had done, he named the very sum that Keawa had inherited. Lopaka and Keawa looked at one another and nodded. "It is quite clear," thought Keawa, "that I am to have this house whether or no. It comes from the devil, and I fear I will get little good by that, and of one thing I am sure, I will make no more wishes as long as I have this bottle, but with the house I am saddled, and I may as well take the good along with the evil." So he made his terms with the architect, and they signed a paper, and Keawa and Lopaka took ship again and sailed to Australia, for it was concluded between them they should not interfere at all, but let the architect and the bottle imp to build and to adorn the house at their own pleasure. The voyage was a good voyage, only all the time Keawa was holding in his breath, for he had sworn he would utter no more wishes, and take no more favors from the devil. The time was up when they got back. The architect told them the house was ready, and Keawa and Lopaka took ship in the hall, and went down Kona way to view the house, and see if all had been done fitly according to the thought that was in Keawa's mind. Now the house stood on the mountainside, visible to ships. Above, the forest ran up into the clouds of rain. Below, the black lava fell in cliffs where the kings of old lay buried. A garden bloomed about the house with every hue of flowers, and there was an orchard of papaya on the one hand and an orchard of breadfruit on the other, and right in front toward the sea a ship's mast had been rigged up and bore a flag. As for the house, it was 3 stories high with great chambers and broad balconies on each. The windows were of glass so excellent that it was as clear as water and as bright as day. All manner of furniture adorned the chambers. Pictures hung upon the wall in golden frames, pictures of ships and men fighting, and of the most beautiful women, and of singular places. Nowhere in the world are there pictures of so bright a color as those Kiowa found hanging in his house. As for the knickknacks, they were extraordinary fine, chiming clocks and musical boxes, little men with nodding heads, books filled with pictures, weapons of price from all quarters of the world, and the most elegant puzzles to entertain the leisure of a solitary man. And as no one would care to live in such chambers, only to walk through and view them, the balconies were made so broad that a whole town might have lived upon them in delight, and Kiowa knew not which to prefer, whether the back porch where you got the land breeze and looked upon the orchards and the flowers, or the front balcony where you could drink the wind of the sea, and look down the steep wall of the mountain and see the Hall going by once a week or so between Hukina and the hills of Pele, or the schooners plying up the coast for wood and ava and bananas. When they had viewed all, Kiowa and Lopaka sat on the porch. "Well," asked Lopaka, "is it all as you designed?" "Words cannot utter it," said Kiowa. "It is better than I dreamed, and I am sick with satisfaction." "There is but one thing to consider," said Lopaka. "All this may be quite natural, and the bottle imp have nothing whatever to say to it. If I were to buy the bottle and get no schooner after all, I should have put my hand in the fire for nothing. I gave you my word, I know, but yet I think you would not grudge me one more proof." "I have sworn I would take no more favors," said Kiowa. "I have gone already deep enough." "This is no favor I am thinking of," replied Lopaka. "It is only to see the imp himself. There is nothing to be gained by that, and so nothing to be ashamed of, and yet if I once saw him I should be sure of the whole matter. So indulge me so far, and let me see the imp, and after that here is the money in my hand, and I will buy it." "There's only one thing I am afraid of," said Kiowa. "The imp may be very ugly to view, and if you once set eyes upon him you may be very undesirous of the bottle." "I am a man of my word," said Lopaka, "and here is the money betwixt us." "Very well," replied Kiowa. "I have a curiosity myself, so come, let us have one look at you, Mr. Imp." Now, as soon as that was said, the imp looked out of the bottle and in again, swift as a lizard, and there sat Kiowa and Lopaka turned to stone. The night had quite come before either found a thought to say or voice to say it with, and then Lopaka pushed the money over and took the bottle. "I'm a man of my word," said he, "and had need to be so, or I would not touch this bottle with my foot. Well, I shall get my schooner and $1 or 2 from my pocket, and then I will be rid of this devil as fast as I can, for to tell you the plain truth, the look of him has cast me down." "Lopaka," said Kiowa, "do not you think any worse of me than you can help. I know it is night and the road's bad, and the pass by the tomb's an ill place to go by so late. But I declare since I have seen that little face, I cannot eat or sleep or pray till it is gone from me. I will give you a lantern and a basket to put the bottle in, and any picture or fine thing in my house that takes your fancy, and be gone at once and go sleep at Hukina with Nahinu." "Kiowa," said Lopaka, "many a man would take this ill, above all when I am doing you a turn so friendly as to keep my word and buy the bottle, and for that matter the night and the dark and the way by the tombs must be all tenfold more dangerous to a man with such a sin upon his conscience and such a bottle under his arm. But for my part I am so extremely terrified myself I have not the heart to blame you. Here I go then, and I pray God you may be happy in your house, and I fortunate with my schooner, and both get to heaven in the end in spite of the devil and his bottle." So Lopaka went down the mountain, and Kiowa stood in his front balcony and listened to the clink of the horses' shoes, and watched the lantern go shining down the path and along the cliff of caves where the old dead are buried, and all the time he trembled and clasped his hands and prayed for his friend and gave glory to God that he himself was escaped out of that trouble. But the next day came very brightly, and that new house of his was so delightful to behold that he forgot his terrors. One day followed another, and Kiowa dwelt there in perpetual joy. He had his place on the back